Trump's death plan to destroy the nation and how there's still hope. Listen to these three things. I got another 2 or 3 bombshells to drop, and I'm going to tell you why there's still hope. So hang in there. The first thing I want you to understand is, yes, he knows he's dying. That's why he's trying to die in office, because if he's out of office, it could change completely differently. He no longer has immunity, and everybody will come at him both civilly and criminally for everything he's doing. Criminally for what? Epstein. That brings me to number 2. Epstein is the real thing. He says people could get hurt. He's protecting a whole society of grooming Inc. It's not just in the Silicon Valley, the White House, Pennsylvania, the Hill, or in Wall Street. It is in Main Street, y'all. This is much bigger than you think. It is gigantic where people are there. It's not just the celebrities, it's the society of grooming that is happening that makes it scarier. What do you think is more scarier, kidnapping kids or their parents convincing them it's the best thing to do? That is nuts. So here's the thing. There's number 3 that you got to look out for, and that is he's trying to strip Americans of their citizenship and of their voting rights. So this is coming through the Supreme Court. This is going to be big. Basically, we knew they were coming for the voting rights, which is horrible. Black and brown people in southern states. Here's how that works. 435 members of the House of Representatives. Black folks got 60 of that. That would dwindle because there would be less places for them to vote in mass so they could have their own representation. Same thing for Latino people. But there's hope. Again, keep listening to me. I got hope through all of this coming. And then, of course, we have the birthright citizenship. Yes, he's trying to steal the citizenship of people who were born in America, even though their parents weren't. He's also trying to declassify African Americans who were born and enslaved people, who were born from and descended from enslaved people. Okay, so we've been here for generations, but he can't bring slavery, but he can bring declassification. So pay attention to everything as I walk through this, because there's a couple of more bombshells. The other one is the grifting. They're going to try to keep grifting to the very end. They know they're coming. It's just like the Nazis who tried to get that gold and stuff and all the jewelry they stole from the Jews out of the country because they knew they were losing the war. The same opportunity is there where they're trying to take as much grifting as they can through meme coins and any other acts they can do to get this money, run, and see who can catch them. And then the other bombshell of this, of course, is the cover-up. Why do you think they dismantled Doge? Why do you think all those satellites keep falling and burning from out the sky? They're trying to cover up every damn thing they can in every way they can. This is a massive cover-up and a massive step back, because they know they're not going to have power very long, because Trump is not going to be alive very long, and J.D. Vance is going to do things differently. I'm not going to say he's better, fuck that, but I am going to say that he is definitely going to do things totally different, and he's not going to be able to hold the whole party together, because when Trump dies, half of MAGA, boom, out the door. Out the door. It is over. It's a whole new game with JD in there, and the Congress is not going to work with JD the same way, because they know he has half the power of MAGA, and they also know that it's time for them to bug back. If they don't, they're going to lose this upcoming election in 26 and the one in 28. There's going to be a lot of civil war going on. If you think it is now, it's going to be in the future. Now, I got some real bombshells to drop on you on how there's hope, because I know I just terrorized the fuck out of you for the last 4 minutes, right? Let's go into the real hopeful part of this. The first hopeful part is that, yeah, he's going to go. I know they got the best doctors, but at this rate, if he doesn't go, his cognitive abilities are going to slow down so much that somebody has to say something. I mean, he's going to sleep in these cabinet meetings. It's not happening. I don't think we're going to see another 7 months of this. And quite frankly, I question if we'll see another, 30 days of this. But given that, this slow decline is taking them down and it's taking them out the picture, and it's pulling Congress and key powerful people on their side on the right away, because they don't want to be attached to this, because they know we only got so long. The second thing I want you to understand, which is very important, regardless of the redactions that they may have in the Epstein files, if they try that stupid shit, it's coming out anyway. They already got it, meaning they on the right and on the left, they're just waiting for the president to do it. And if they don't, it's coming out anyway. Remember, I'm the first person to tell you that. Nobody on the left at all has really talked about this in detail. It's coming out anyway. We're going to know what happened, and we're going to know what Trump did, but we're also going to know what these other people did, whether they were on the left or right, whoever it was. It's going to reveal a whole society they do not want revealed, okay? And it's going to it's going to hurt people. Like Trump said, it's going to hurt people. But fuck it. We got to know what's going on. And we're going to leverage that to get him out of office. The more he can hold on to office and die within office, he's happy. That's what it's about. Here's the third thing, the third bombshell of hope that's out there. This, stripping of citizenship, stripping of the Voting Rights Act. It is so entwined with decisions that have happened over the last 50 to 100 years. With citizenship, 100 plus years. With the Voting Rights Act, 50 plus years. It is so entwined that this shit could unravel quickly. They could rule on this, but their rule isn't the final rule. It can be appealed. It can be fought. Plus, people are investigating in the Supreme Court. Something's going on, because they're ruling against their own stuff. It's one thing for them to rule against conservatism. I mean, here's the thing. Why would they take on these two subjects? Why would they take on these two subjects, but they didn't take on gay marriage? Something's up. Something is really up, and they're trying to declassify black and brown people, whether they're out of this country or whether they're in this country. Understand that. There will not be slavery, but they're trying to declassify it. Everything they try to declassify can be flipped like a switch when we get back in power. The Democrats, okay? It can be flipped like a switch. Just like Biden flipped pretty much everything this fool did when he came in 2020. Here's the other thing I want you to understand. There's another big bombshell, which is people already been watching them on this grifting. They've been in their ass about this grifting. They've been keeping tabs on their grifting. Who's they? Well, here's the interesting part. There's some people within the DOJ, within the intelligence community that are already working. Then there are people who are retired or in the private sector keeping tabs on all these numbers. All this stuff he's doing with the meme coin is in open blockchain. What that means is that it's an open public ledger, y'all. It ain't secret. Everybody knows it. The way they're stealing, I'm trying to get to you, is that anybody can figure this out. This is not, you don't have to be a forensic accountant to find these guys. That's what I'm saying. And they will be found, and they will be tracked down. Now, even if Trump gets away, I guarantee you his family ain't going to get away, because his family is all over this. They've been the bag man, meaning they've been taking all the money and going around all the countries, all across the nation, all across the world, talking to multinational countries and heads of state to get deals with America in return for some meme coin money, in return for some investment in our thing. And then they've been trying to ship it around internationally to make sure it can't be found. It'll be found. It'll be found. And there's going to be hell to pay. All right? Trump family may be living in Russia at one point. It's going to be hell to pay. Here's the other thing, and that should give you some form of comfort knowing, because I don't think enough people talk about this. The ability for them to try to cover this up, it's so weak and obvious. Let's talk about the things they're trying to cover up. They're trying to cover up. The very first thing, the biggest thing, is the Epsteins. No, that's coming out. It's coming out, and we're going to find out, everybody. And if Trump gets kicked out over this, then what happens is, again, the states will come after him, particularly Letitia James and the Empire State. Number two, what's the other thing that they're trying to, do a cover up on? Grifting. The grifting is on blockchain. Blockchain, you may not know what that means, but that's why they created, that's why the Bitcoin creator created it. So you couldn't hide things like banks and like governments do. It's on blockchain, meaning everybody knows it, sees it, it's intertwined. It's like putting it out on the internet. Good luck trying to get that back in. And then there's another area that's really going to kick a lot of Trump's administration's ass, and that is deportations. I know a lot of you are like, oh my God, but he's trying to declassify citizens. He's trying to kill birthright citizenship. Let me tell you something. The biggest thing that he did even bigger than that with the Supreme Court possibly, is the deportations. He's deporting American citizens to foreign countries, not just El Salvador, other countries. And whether we'll find them or not, in today's society, I'm pretty sure we will, unless they're dead, and I hope they're not. But the thing is, we're going to find them on this, and they're going to kick them down. They're going to get them. They already got, they meaning the federal judges already got Stephen Miller in their crosshairs again. They had him back in April. The appeals went out the door. Now Boasberg's coming after that ass under the Alien Enemies Act. Kilmar Garcia, it's not over. Abreu Garcia, it is not over. And they're coming for him, and Judge Zinn is saying plan. Those are the two judges who were hunting them down. But it's going to get deeper than that. Thousands of ICE agents are going to lose their jobs. Hundreds of people out of the Homeland Security, State Department, and the DOC are losing their jobs over this deportation shit. It is illegal. Everything they've done is illegal. They are going down. And trust me, as much as it seems horrible, all these things that are happening, time is catching up with them, and it's running out on them. They are an administration on a time clock. And if Trump dies, the time clock cuts in half. Here's the other thing that's happening. Elon and Doge, okay? Elon and Doge in trouble. Big, big trouble. Oh, by the way, Tulsi Gabbard and Pete Hegseth are in there too with Signalgate, and that's closing in on them. And then you got Elon and Doge. That's why they broke up Doge. That's why they got Elon up out of there. Because they're trying to cover up the evidence because they know it's illegal. They went into those departments illegally. The president didn't have the right or the power to do any of that. And Congress knew it, and they denied Congress access to the building? Oh, hell no. Hell no. It's on and popping. It's on and popping. They're going to get them. And it's not going to be Bondi getting them. It's federal judges who have the right to hire attorneys if the DOJ doesn't. They have rights to, really go after them and prosecute them, and even hire and deputize federal police. They're the third branch of government. They got the power just as much as Congress has the power. And Congress is pulling away more and more away from Trump on this death plan because they know that death plan could mean their death plan. It's like those generals pulling away from Hitler. It's like they know that this is their death plan. Here's the other thing to understand too. Not only is all of this stuff happening, and there is hope, everything I've just told you on that, there's also a process of breaking down what happened. In other words, there have been human rights issues, not just on blowing up boats that Hegseth did, which he's catching hell for right now because the boat wasn't even headed to America, and they struck him 4 times. A boat that had no ammunition, they're waving like, please stop, we surrender, and they killed him. But it's getting bigger than that. All of the human rights violations that are happening within the ICE detention centers. Don't you think that's getting ready to go down? If you don't, it is. They are keeping note. That's why they're trying to arrest and pepper spray any Congress, anybody that comes anywhere near those detention centers, because they know that's their ass. And they can't kill all those people. They can't kill all those people. There's going to come a time when they're going to tell on that ass, and they're going to tell them what happened. There's not only going to be hearings, there's going to be thousands of arrests of ICE agents and anybody else who had anything to do with any horrendous things that are happening, whether it was killings or rapings or anything that happened over there. They're going to get their ass and they're going to jail. They're going to jail unless they do like the Germans did and kill themselves. Here's the other things that are coming in. There's a few more. Obviously, the election. Here's the thing. They get Doge, they're going to get Elon. They get Doge and Elon, they're going to get Trump. And then they're going to get some interesting conversation about the election. Because Doge's going to do whatever they can, as well as Elon, to turn in and make sure that they don't go to jail. So what we got is some horrible things happening in the beginning, as I said. But I want you to assess the fact that there is hope that this stuff is going to get dialed back, including the big, beautiful bill, which takes place a little bit in the early part of next year, but it takes place really towards the end of next year going into 27. But with a Congress majority, we can flip the script on that. That's why it's so important to have the right type of Congress in there, progressives. Definitely get with indivisible.org and keep an eye on your local area for who the progressives, not just traditional. And also, when we get into Congress, we got to go ahead and change up these bills. We got to change up what happened to remove $1 trillion from our nation. And that's what's happening there. That's the biggest thing that we got to look at once we get in there. But in between that time, the good news is that another good, hopeful news that Mike Johnson may be out in the House of Representatives. He may be out because right now, at the rate we got over 40 House members over 40 GOP members breaking, many of which are in the House, and they can pull away his vote. He only got a couple of votes ahead to get him into the House, to have him in power. So the power changeover could happen quicker than we think. And here's what that would mean. That might mean either scenario A, which is what we want, having a Democrat in there, which these special elections and stuff, unlikely, but it could happen. Or scenario B, where you have somebody in there as a leader who's the new Mike Johnson in the GOP. Are they going to handle it the same way? I don't think so. But here's scenario C, and a lot of people might think I'm crazy for this, but we may have somebody even worse than Mike Johnson. And here's the thing. If they're more worse and more radical than Mike Johnson, it makes 2026 even that much better, because it's just going to push us further and further down the line. There are people who just don't get it. They don't realize this ass whooping coming. They're arrogant, and they're not listening. And as I said before, 30% of the Trump administration is going to put 70% of the Trump administration in jail. They're going to jail. Again, deportations. They're going to jail. Again, over grifting. Again, over Elon Doge. Again, over Signalgate. Okay? Again, yes, they can go over election. But the thing is, the elections is further down the tree versus everything I just mentioned. Can they go to jail over Epstein? Some people can, but one of the biggest people that could be targeted if they've caught Trump with anything, any kind of minor, in the state of New York, and I'm just praying they do. If they got to catch him, let it be something he did in New York, because Letitia James will climb all over his ass, and it is a good reason to remove him as president of the United States. Like I said in the beginning, he's on a death plan. Let me die in office. You're going to have to pull me out like one of those aliens from Alien, where they attached onto your face. You're going to have to pull me out, and if you pull me off, I'm taking the host with me. So we got to be in a position right now. And I haven't said anything about the Venezuelan situation. From what I'm hearing is that they're being smart enough not to antagonize the war with America, not just because it's America, but because these fools know darn well that this is being ticked off by Trump, and he's trying to cover his ass. Everybody knows it. He's trying to cover his ass. We all know it. And because he's trying to do that, he only has so much time. So, yes, he may start a war in Venezuela. But given the way he's treating his recent situation with the admiral and throwing him under the bus, it's going to be hard to get military to go for that. They might pull that card and say, no, sir, this is illegal. Because they've done enough illegal stuff as it is with killing people on these boats. And it's ridiculous. And what I'm trying to tell you right now is that, again, he's on his death plan. He's trying to pull everything apart before he goes, both eternally, physically, life-wise, and before he goes, if Epstein pulls him out of this. Because if he thinks for 1 minute that the more redacted files is going to save his ass, I tell you, hell no. They're coming for him. I'm going to tell you the truth that anybody else could tell you. And that is that it's going to get worse before it gets better. But there's hope. It's just like what we go through when we're sick. It gets worse before it gets better. You go through that, and then your body gets stronger and better, and you survive it. America will survive this. We've survived 250 years, baby. We can survive this bullshit, especially by a bunch of inept people. They're losing 70% of the cases in lowercase courts, and they can't take everything to the Supreme Court. Even though the stuff they take to the Supreme Court, like birthright citizenship and voting rights, that is horrific, is stuff that we can flip around. We can flip around both these Voting Rights Acts and this citizenship. We can fight it back. There's some things that are going to, let me give you an example. When they had Roe versus Wade, there's a lot of things they flipped in blue states, and they were able to flip a lot of stuff that the feds did. There are things we're going to be able to flip, but it's going to be a rough road, baby. Hang in there, y'all. Hang in there and understand, as bad as it's getting, as crazy as it's getting, because he's on his deathbed, we got this. We got this as a nation, and we got more allies than you think. Believe it.